Okay, so let's look at this question. So what's a given growth of the market? The first question say how much is the government tax on cigarette? So to find out how much is the government tax, we need to see how much is the upper shift of the demand of the supply curve. So the amount of vertical shift of supply curve, you can see that it is this amount from 5 points. You only need to find a specific point and find how much is the vertical change. So it is 5.5 minus 5.5 minus 425. So it should be 125. Okay, so that's the amount of text. And part B say what price the producer receive after paying the tax. So the producer receive after paying the tax, you need to find the new supply curve is S2 and the demand curve is D. So basically, the consumer need to pay 5.5 for each unit, and the seller can only get 4.25 for each unit. So that should be 4.25, and the difference goes to the government. Okay, and for C is saying how much tax revenue the government collect. So the amount of tax revenue the government can collect is basically calculated on how much is the tax for each unit. So that is 1.25, and how much can be sold in the market. So you can see that after the tax applied, the new equilibrium quantity is 18. So it is 1.25 times 18. So that should be 22.5 billion. So that's the amount of tax received by the government. And for part D, how would the graph be different if the tax were collected from the buyer of the cigarette? Okay, so instead of supply curve shift up by this 1.25, the demand curve shift down by 1.25. So if the government would like to charge the tax to the consumer, then it's not the upper shift of supply curve, now it's a downshift. Demand curve will shift down by 1.25. So the logic is exactly the same. Okay, so let's look at E. If the tax were collected from the buyer, what would be the new equivalent price that buyers pay producer of the cigarette? Okay, so the new equivalent price that the buyers pay the producer will be 4.25 per pack, because the demand curve will shift down by the amount of tax there. So I can draw a graph for you, but might not be that clear. So in this case, the demand curve is now here, and the amount of shifting down is still 1.25. So in this case, you need to find the new equilibrium is the new demand curve, and the supply curve it should be this point here. So the amount that the buyer need to pay is 4.25. Okay, so that is the intersection of S1 and D prime. And for F, including the tax, what will be the total amount that the cigarette buyers pay per pack? So the total amount of cigarette buyers pay per pack will be the price. The price is 4.25, right? And how much is the tax? The tax 1.25. So in total, it should be pay 5.50 cents. So which is actually the same amount that the buyer has to pay if the tax was charged to the seller. So in general, say that whatever the chargement is, so the government might charge the tax from the seller, might charge the tax from the buyer, but whoever charge it, actually the result are the same. So the buyers need to pay 5.50 cents, and the sellers can get only 4.25 cents, and the rest will be the tax per unit.